Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. That was a good false start. Hello, no goodbye. Hello. I'm a Christmas tree topper. Don't expect me to talk or tree talk or whatever you want to call it. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven, where witches talk all things movies. Mostly witch movies. My name is Patty Negri. I am one of your hosts today. You might know me from the Witching Hour or whatever else in the world. This is my friend Black Phillip. But let me introduce my beautiful co-hosts. Up here in the upper corner, we have Heather Green and her friend Black Phillip. And we have Courtney Buckley and her friend Black Phillip. We have Richard Lale Lillard and his friend Black Phillip. And we have Jason Mankey and his friend Black Phillip. But
I left my Black Phillip on my bed because he stays with me every night. So I'm, he's in my heart, but he's a room away.
Okay,
really
that's
sorry.
Okay. That's okay. So anyway, Heather wrote the ultimate book on witches and movies. Truly big, fat, beautiful book. Everything you ever want to know and more on witches and movies. Last week we talked about Harry Potter. And this week we're going to do some Harry Potter and we're going to go into Krampus. Ooh, scary fun. I just watched that. But before we do, let's go back to Harry Potter and Jason, because Jason was not with us last week. And you have some thoughts on that very first Harry Potter movie, Jason.
I feel like I'm hijacking the show by wanting to talk about Harry Potter. I love the Harry Potter movies, surprisingly. This is not something I'm curmudgeonly about. However, I do think the first two are the worst two in the series. However, the first book, though, really captures the more childlike innocence of the original book, because the books get more adult as they go on. The characters become more complex. The story grows up. And really, I guess the first movie does a good job of capturing that. Also, I think a lot of people overlook how great Hogwarts looks in the first movie. Hogwarts has all of the ghosts floating around. Like, we don't see nearly Headless Nick after the second movie, I think, anymore. All of the portraits are really interactive. They're the staircases that move around. And in the later movies, I think so much of the focus is on the characters and the story that you lose that little bit of wonder that's in the first movie and the second movie. So I really appreciate it for that. And it also has a great John Williams score. And I'm sure over the next months, we'll be talking about all the Harry Potter movies. But they also are great because they remind me so much of the holiday season. The first two movies came out during the holidays. Some of the movies ended up coming out during the summer. The movies always end in May, but for whatever reason, the Christmas scenes in the movies are always really memorable and stay with you. And at our house, these are definitely Yuletide films.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So did we want to go into, we didn't even, I just flew onto this with my hat. Did we want to do we want to go next, Harry Potter, or do we want to jump right into Krampus? Or any thoughts? Should we take a vote? Or we're a democratic witch group.
Well, I thought I'd jump in before we get to Krampus and get back to something we were talking about several movies ago. Bring it back to the Wizard of Oz, because we had a question from somebody about the flying monkeys and how they managed to do the flying monkeys. And this isn't necessarily a Christmas movie, but I think I want to answer this question real quick because I found the answer and it's pretty fascinating. So the small monkeys were on wire that was music wire that was so thin you couldn't see it, and they had their little wings would flap from that, and they were made out of rubber. They were about, let me look to see, I think it said 6 inches. So they were really small little monkeys, and there was tons of wire, and they would have to constantly like maneuver them as that went. But there were other monkeys who were real people, as you probably remember. They had some kind of motor in the back attached to their wings that was like developed from a windshield wipers, and that would make their wings flap. But they were also hooked up to tiny wires, and the stories that I read said that the wires, they went to the thinnest possible wire before they would become dangerous, but they were so thin that they had to keep mattresses and other padding underneath the actors because they were falling. And there was some other issues with that. They're like, how they were paid and stuff versus the monkeys and the actors. It was not a very safe environment, but that is how they did the monkeys: thin wire and little motors.
Wow.
On the soundstage. Yeah.
That's pretty, especially for way back then. Now we're so used to, you could do anything, you could create anything, you could fly anything, but they didn't have technology back then. That's just creative.
Yeah, and it was a and it was advanced. This was considered, a lot of the stuff that the Wizard of Oz did was advanced technologically speaking. So so there's the answer. Who I can't remember who asked that question, but that's how they did the monkeys without a green screen.
That's amazing. Thank you. Any other comments on Harry Potter? Anybody?
I love Harry Potter.
I don't love Harry Potter.
We can talk a little bit about the second Harry. Okay, go. Courtney, Harry Potter. Did anything change about you when you saw the second Harry Potter?
The second book and the second movie are my least favorites. They are my son's favorites, so it's very painful when we try to have a Harry Potter marathon because I want to skip them and he tries to make that be the first one that we watch. So I have a lot of thoughts about that I think would take up a whole episode, but yeah, and I mean, I love it through and through. Sorry, Richard Lale.
That's okay. Nobody's perfect.
Except for you, Isabel. But what is it that you don't like about the second one, Courtney? We don't have to take the whole episode.
It's just not like I love all of them, but it's just not my favorite one. It's my least favorite one. I just think I don't love the story as much as I love the story in the other ones. I don't love really anything about it. Like I enjoy it, but because it's Harry Potter. But if it was its own thing, I would never rewatch it or reread it.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else have any specific thoughts about the second one?
I'm only on the first one. And as boring as it was, I probably won't watch the second one.
My Grinch heart just shrunk 3 sizes. Oh
and
no!
Jason,
that size, down to the size of the house.
Jason is still in shock. He didn't hear the story. He wasn't here for last week in the full report from Richard Lale. So
I think I heard enough of that report from Richard Lale.
Wow.
I mean, they're not perfect. I mean, they're not perfect movies, especially the first one. But to call it boring, I mean, that's a step too far. Step too far.
Blasphemy!
Take your Black Phillip away. No.
How can Hermione Granger ever be boring?
I love her. I
was bored.
Leviosa, not Levioso. I mean, come on.
To be fair, though, I downloaded the wrong movie. I mean, it was the right movie, but it was the editor's cut, and so he was interrupting every 5 minutes or so. Now, in this scene, we actually shot it from above, and I really liked the way that the light played on. And I really wanted to just watch this movie that I'm not enjoying anyway.
Richard Lale, I already told you, you can have my Amazon Prime login, and I have all of them on there, the right ones, and you can enjoy them that way if you so choose. Skip the second one.
I will probably skip the second one and the third one and the fourth one.
No! The third one is so good.
Yeah, the third one resets the entire series in a way, and all of a sudden the movies grow up, the color palette changes, the movies completely improve when you get to Prisoner of Azkaban, which is the third film.
Why do you think that is? Is it because the kids are growing up and it's taking on a new way of being? It's not little kids anymore.
Part
Story
of it
gets darker.
Change of directors really helped too. I mean, the third one is when we get a new director from the first 2 films, and the way he envisions the story is just a lot different. I also think by the third book too, the story's starting to grow up. It's not just for 5th graders anymore. All of a sudden, this feels like maybe it's going to become more and more, I don't want to say adult because that makes it sound maybe a little more racy and tawdry and violent than it is, but it's a little bit more all ages and not just for school age kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the third book too, you have to look at, where the story develops, and you start to see deeper storylines, like more heavy storylines, and then going into like the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, there starts to be death and war and all these other like heavier things. And so I think the change, it really is a change in color, and it fits it so well.
But we'll never know how Richard Lale feels
I'm so
because he'll never watch it. We'll never get there.
No.
I'm clutching my Black Phillip as if I'm clutching pearls right now. I'm so upset.
My Black Phillip didn't like it either.
And somebody popped up on the screen. Rob, our producer, had put something on this. Somebody else didn't like it either. Oh wait, Diana. I watched 5 minutes of the first one and got bored. Never watched them. So that's why we're all different. That's why art is all different. That's why music is all different. That's why, pictures are all different, but that's funny. 5 minutes. I must say, I'm not a first 5 minute person. I've gotten better over it, but it takes me like 5 minutes to get into almost any movie. I will sit there and notice myself. It doesn't matter which movie, any kind of movie. That first 5 minutes, I'm not there yet. I'm too observant versus part of it. And I could stop almost any movie at 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I get involved. So maybe that's it, Diana. She's a 1 for 6 minutes. And I'm way that way with plays and theater for some reason, which even more surprising to me, because there you have the actors right there in front of you and the energy of the stage and the energy of the actors. But for that first 5 minutes, I'm having to really focus myself to pay attention. So it's just me. So go for 6 minutes next time, Diana.
And if anyone needs my Amazon Prime login, just let me know.
Of everybody. Hundreds of people are watching Harry Potter. Well, speaking of getting darker and going scarier and things, let's move to Krampus. I hadn't seen it in so long. I watched it the other night. In the middle of the night. I started at about 1 a.m. Oh, look at that.
There he was.
And I watched it under the covers. My husband was sleeping in a tent like I was 8-year-old with a flashlight in the tent, but with my cell phone. It was scary. So let's talk Krampus. Who wants to go first? Who's a fan?
I love it. 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 I love it.
Richard Lale, you talk Krampus.
Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit now. I don't know all the history like our friend Jason does, but I will say I am a modern Victorian, and the Victorians, they loved their Krampus. It was on Christmas cards along with beetles and frogs and other weird things. So the Victorians didn't really quite understand Christmas. And then for me, you were in my house in Pasadena. You saw yes. all of my horned creatures that I had on my.
Oh,
are we frozen?
I think he froze.
I think Krampus got him.
Oh no!
Well, he's okay. Well, I'm sure he will be back with us. Wait, is he back?
I think he's back.
There he is.
I'm kind of back. I don't know.
You were frozen, Richard Lale. You were frozen.
Krampus.
We didn't hear. Oh, I think
Krampus got me.
Krampus got you.
Yeah.
So figure out your Wi-Fi. Maybe get your Wi-Fi back. Let's move to Jason for a second and then come back to Richard Lale.
I'm just going to say real quick, I don't think it's Krampus that got him. I think it's Voldemort.
I think you're onto something, Courtney.
I think it's Hermione punishing him for not liking the films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Krampus. I love the Krampus. I write a little bit about the Krampus in one of my books, The Horned God of the Witches, as sort of the avatar of the Horned God during the holiday season. And I also write about him in my Christmas book, the Llewellyn's Little Book of Yule. So I feel very close to Krampus. I remember when this movie was coming out, how excited I was to see the Krampus on the big screen. But if you are somebody who loves the Krampus as a holiday figure, this movie is not the Krampus of holiday lore. The real Krampus, yeah, he's mean and he might hit you with a switch, but he's also not going to terrorize your house with living gingerbread men, right? So it's not a completely accurate picture of the Krampus, but it's still really fun to see him on the big screen.
He won't terrorize you with gingerbread men. He'll just whip children who are naughty and then drag their souls to hell and devour them. You know, good Christian fun.
That's more
That picture is
story
so
than
good.
what he actually did, though. I mean, you know, he was stuck working within what Saint Nicholas would allow him to do in most cases, and that's usually hitting somebody with a switch. And even today, in modern day Krampus celebrations, the insurance is too much, so the Krampus hardly ever hits anybody at all.
Well, you know what I love, my little trivia that I love about the Krampus was that he closely worked with Sinterklaas. And we think, oh, you know, the bad children, they're going to get lumps of coal. We're told that. But it was really because Krampus and Sinterklaas worked together, and Santa Claus would put lumps of coal to mark the bad children so that Krampus could come and switch you with switches and put you in his sack and drag your soul to hell.
Their good cop, bad cop routine works really well. You know, that would have been a dynamic that would have been nice maybe in the sequel to this movie.
I think they're a powerful gay couple, and I would like to be part of that couple.
There's a new reading.
Okay, Heather. So what's you're the fat girl, the knowing and everything going on.
Well, you know, my take on this is, first of all, I watch it, you know, as a film historian, and most of my interest is in that realm is how this fits into the socio-political or socio-cultural realm in context. And also, I love horror. So, you know, just from a watching perspective and a horror perspective, I thought it was really well done. The timing was great. I was talking to the screen. Which that's always a caveat, whether it's a good movie. Is it making me so tense that I have to talk to the screen? And I did talk to the screen, so that was good. I was really happy they didn't get too cheesy with Krampus's. I was afraid we were going to get too puppety with Krampus's face, and I loved the animation piece rather than going back and doing another little girl in live action. I thought going back and doing that story in that form was brilliant and very nicely done. So I thought it was a really solid horror film. It also captured, used, you know, ethics and morality as its basis, which really work well in horror. Horror does that so well when it balances itself on a morality. And that gets to the socio-political part where my film historian person comes in. Made in 2015, 2014, the movie was released in 2015. The movie was positioned at a period of time when we were seeing a lot of our stories we know, these folkloric stories, fairy tales being told in horror, through horror, whether they were colored by horror, whether it was true horror, whether it was dark fantasy, fractured fairy tales. So you think of like Once Upon a Time, a number of Hansel and Gretel movies that were horror, et cetera, et cetera. So it fits into that realm. This is sort of the end of that trend. And I find that this one really is capitalizing on two things. The trope in Hollywood, longtime trope that Christmas is good and anything that's counter to Christmas is bad. So that's something you see. If you like Christmas, you're good. If you don't like Christmas, you're bad. And you also have a very black and white heaven and hell morality going on here. It's very clear. It's very Hollywood. It's very classic, which again, is very typical in horror and also in Hollywood. So you have a lot of fun stuff going on wrapped into a small amount of political commentary, which is not so subtle, which resonates even more so now possibly than it did in 2015, which I think is very interesting. That's my quick take.
That's a good, very deep, quick take. Thank you. Yeah, I don't even want to go next after that because I want to talk about something so silly. Courtney, you go.
Patty. All right. Well, okay. So full disclosure, everything I'm about to say, I did not finish the movie because I've had to hold it. I've had a busy week. been a really busy week. It's been a tough one, but so I did start it tonight. I will tell you, Patty, you were talking earlier about how you can't get into a movie in the first 5 minutes. I was obsessed with this movie from the trailer. I love every actor and actress that is in this movie. They're all my favorites. I knew from the second. Now, I don't have a deep, in-depth knowledge of the legend of Krampus. I have the basic, the basic knowledge. I've met Krampus once or twice there's this holiday market that I usually go to called Haunt the Halls. That's where I get all my human remains in Salem. And instead of having Santa there, they have Krampus come. So it's exciting for me, not so exciting for my kid who is terrified of him. But going into it, I have very limited knowledge, right? And just loving the actors as much as I did and the story, seeing it in the trailer. And then when I started watching it, I was immediately entranced. I thought it was great. I didn't finish it. I will be finishing it. But okay, this might be a different take. I'm a fan of movies. Horror movies take a lot to scare me. And I'm a fan of movies that are like horror movies, but like take themselves too seriously and then it's funny. And to me, this felt like one of those, like, this is a bad example, but like Sharknado, where like everyone acts very seriously, but it's not scary at all. But they're treating it like it's a horror movie. That whole genre of movies is 100% for me. And this, even though it was darker and scarier than, and better done, obviously, than Sharknado, this felt in that vein to me. So I was enjoying it from every aspect. I wasn't scared, but I loved it. And that's
I'm
my
with
hot
you,
take.
Courtney. I don't think it's a scary film, probably because I love the Christmas season unequivocally, and there would never be any sort of retribution at my house. But I think some of the scenes are so over the top that they're just hilarious. And they happen to characters who feel really awful. So you don't feel bad for them. Like the evil children who steal Max's letter. You don't feel bad for those kids. Those are terrible kids. Wrap them in chains and throw them up the chimney. That's what I say.
Yeah.
But the big sister, she was good. That's what was hard for me. And I guess for it to be scary is watching it 2 a.m. on a phone under the covers. It's scary then. But the bad kids are the bad kids. Let it happen to them, the idiot family members. But the big sister, I wouldn't have came back in the house. I'd have kept looking for her if I was the dad. Maybe that's just me. That bothered me. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I just kept saying that. Go back. Anyway.
Isn't that something we say in every horror movie? Don't do that. Come back. Don't go in that room.
Don't go in the basement.
Why did you open that door? I mean,
close the basement door.
Yeah.
Don't go into the barn. There's a wood chipper in there. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You gotta do it.
Most horror movies are not scary. That's the funny part of most horror movies. For me too, Courtney, I don't get there's very few times where a jump scare will actually scare me. And I think probably one of the scariest ones, and not so much now because I've seen it so many times, was Alien. The first one, terrifying, brilliant movie on all levels, and that was scary. So, but this one was I call it a horror film, and a lot of horror films are not scary so much but they use the horror mechanisms. They use all of the pieces in there to make this tension and to create it creates a horror. It's kind of like The Witch. The Witch is not a classic horror film. It creates this atmosphere. It makes these suggestions. It creates a horror atmosphere that either it makes you tense or scares you or makes you uneasy or, and sometimes so uneasy we laugh. Sometimes it's silly. There's a lot of horror movies that are silly, but or it makes you think about something that could be terrifying if it happens. So there's a lot of mechanisms. That's what horror is so brilliant. It's one of the best genres that we have, really, I think.
Yeah. I like funny, scary. I do. They got to be funny
Scream.
or not take yourself too seriously.
Mhm.
And that one, it had funny moments. I mean, that family was very funny, but I still was scary under the covers. Richard Lale, I think you are back now. So do you remember what you were saying when you got completely cut off?
I was going to say I love the images of the horned gods. I love that. You were at my house in Pasadena. You saw my collection of masks, my horned masks.
Beautiful.
And people would say to me, "Oh, well, wouldn't it be more appropriate to live in a Victorian and have cherubs and angels?" And I go, "No, because that's the 18th century. No."
Okay.
The Victorians, they loved their devils. They really, really loved their devils. And I'm a modern Victorian. And I will say on to Heather's point about Hollywood has this trope where that if you love Christmas, you're good. And if you hate Christmas, you're bad. And I have to tell you, I hate Christmas.
Well, you're going to have trouble in a movie.
So over the last few weeks, I've been developing a very big crush on Richard Lale. And because I feel like we've been in sync on so many issues. Like if there's two people who don't like a movie, it's probably us. And I feel a kinship. And then tonight, it's just gone down the crapper. It's just not there now. But Richard Lale hates Harry Potter and hates Christmas. And I'm wearing my sweater tonight. And I've even got my bunny slippers on from a Christmas
You're a pink
story.
nightmare.
And yes, I'm a pink nightmare. I'm just heartbroken. I just don't know what to think now.
Any fool to go about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. Humbug, I say. Bah, humbug.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Jason Richard Lale, standoff or something like that. I know.
Hey,
The heart's getting smaller again.
But you know why I don't like Christmas? I don't like Christmas because it's the same 5 songs over and over and over. And it's all of those tacky lights. And it's all of those horrible, I give gifts year round. I give gifts because I like people or because I want them dead. You never know which. But I give gifts because I feel like it. And then I feel like it's such a thing in Christmas to give a gift. And wouldn't it be better to just give an orange? Like that was what they used to give. Couldn't I give you an orange and that would make you happy? I should. And also, it's nice when people give me gifts. I mean, Black Phillip was a great gift. I've gotten some really great gifts over time, but normally I like to buy my own gifts because I have very specific tastes and a penchant for the dark.
So the entire series of Harry Potter we were going to send you. Take that.
Yeah, I better call the post office and get that one. Right back. I was gonna give you a Christmas present, Richard Lale, but not anymore.
No.
You cannot have my Amazon account. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah. I must say I love Christmas, so I love Yule. I like to say Yule, and I include Kwanzaa, New Year's, Yule, Hanukkah, everything. But we gave up presents years ago. I don't buy into that. I'll do the goofy lights. I'm wearing a Christmas tree on my head. But decades ago, being in Hollywood, when everybody came to Hollywood and no one had family here because they came from all over the world to find their fame or fortune. Nobody had money and nobody had family. So I started doing a Christmas potluck. But didn't want people to feel ever to bring gifts. So that's when we started a white elephant. You have to bring something that you cannot go out and buy it. It could be a re-gift or a hand-me-down, and that has turned into a thing, except until stupid COVID hit. People save all year, and people now have families. They've created their own families. They probably could afford presents, but you've been to it because you were the hit of it because he had Mr. Satan, his beautiful car out front of my holiday party. And I'm looking at it right now, a beautiful gift from you of this mother and child, almost like Christ-like baby Jesus. It's right here on my desk from you. I have, and That was a beautiful gift, but we don't go shopping. We don't buy into that. And I haven't in years. Even my husband and I don't. We do the lights, but we don't think we have to go buy something from QVC. And I need to start having that party again.
I give my wife a detailed list telling her to note the size, quantity, and color of each item that I expect under the tree and then we unwrap them December 25th after we have finished our winter solstice festivities. I exaggerate, but I do like presents.
See, I think for me, like, as a person who celebrates Halloween all year round, I have very dark ornaments on my Christmas tree that I made myself, like bloody handprints and ghosts and things like that. But I think Christmas for me felt so magical when I was a kid, and I loved Santa so much. And now as a parent, being able to be Santa is the magic. Like, it rekindled my Christmas spirit. For a while there, I was not on board. I didn't want to celebrate it at all. And we've kind of shied away from that in my family over the last couple of years. Instead of going out, because I've been a single mom and I work multiple jobs, and all I ever wanted for Christmas was money to get my kid Christmas presents. And instead of like putting all that pressure on us to buy gifts for the whole family, we started doing a Yankee swap. So we would just go buy gag gifts, like for however many people were going to be there. And it was just for the spirit of it and not for the spending of the money. So I have to say, like, ever since my Christmas spirit got rekindled, I love the 6 Christmas songs, and I love all the cheesy Christmas movies. And me as dark as I am and as witchy as I am, and I collect human remains, I will stop to watch a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie, and they're all the same, and I don't care. I watch all of them, and I love them all, and I watch them year round. It is my guilty pleasure. There's one that I recommend to everybody. It's called The Spirit of Christmas, and it's exactly what you think it is. It is about a girl who falls in love with a ghost, and it's the best thing that I've ever seen. I watch it in July because, to me, that Christmas spirit, the Christmas spirit that I found, never goes away, and I carry it with me all year round. And it's not just Christmas, but as you can see, like, I enjoy it.
I think we're gonna have our own Hallmark movie next year, though, where we all haunt Richard Lale.
I think that's great.
Agrees with us about the holiday season.
To be fair, you kind of look like the ghosts of that haunt Scrooge. I mean, in this image, look at you. You kind of
and you're Scrooge.
Yeah, we are. You're the ghosts of that haunt you. I will chime in and say that I also loved Christmas. I had a great Christmas growing up. I came from a family that was quite secular, and we would have dinner with most of my mom's family. So that was who are Jewish. So it wasn't a religious holiday for us, and we used to call it Peacemas, actually, because we didn't celebrate it as a religious holiday. But there was always the magic of Christmas, the magic of Santa when you're young, and then the magic of it, because the family always came together, and it was cold out and it was warm inside, just like all the songs go. And I, being a fan of oh, there are way more than 6. I'm just going to tell you right now. And I know that because I love Christmas music with a passion, and I will sing this, and it's hard for me to stop singing. And I keep very tight on that all year round because I love Christmas carols. I love the religious ones. I love the modern ones. There's very few that I do not like. And so I've carried that again, like Courtney said. And then when you have children, you either refind it, like Courtney said, or you carry it over and it becomes even more magical. And so we've had such a fun time capturing the traditions of my childhood for them, which we do. And then, of course, creating new traditions. We have visitors now today, and I think I told you guys this last week, that the presents are left from my children, from Satan, from Krampus, and Santa. So they all get presents from all 3 of them. and that's quite fun, as well as from us. And we try to make fun of it. And last year we started, well, it was actually this year, we've started a new tradition because we have a lot of artists in our family and creative people. So we did a poetry night at Thanksgiving. So everybody had to make a read a poem. This year we're doing portraits. Everybody's making a portrait of somebody else, and we don't know who has who. So and I'm not going to reveal who I have in case that someone is listening. So we all have to, in our own art style or however we want, have to make a portrait of the other family member, and we present them at Christmas. And we're going to try to keep doing this kind of fun stuff just to make it about family and getting together and being creative and you know, and then sing a few carols and drink a few drinks and celebrate Yuletide and all of the meanings. So I love it. I'm totally with Jason on Courtney in this one. Sorry, Richard Lale. We are the ghosts that haunt you.
I love it too. I love it too.
You too, Patty.
I love it too. I like goofy presents. It's like, you know, it takes you all year to find a nice 8-track tape of Kool and the Gang.
Oh yes,
Wow.
That's a great present.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got that, I would celebrate good times. Yeah.
And then he goes, "What is this?" Wait, you're young.
I don't know what I know what they are.
You do? Okay. Yeah.
I never had one, but I know what they are.
One other thing, there is a great not so great witch movie that's a Christmas movie. It's called The Magic Christmas Tree. And it was kind of, they tried to take a little bit of the Wizard of Oz styling from the way they did it. But yes, there is the Magic Christmas Tree. It's it's like 66 or something like that. And it has a witchy character in it. It is a terrible movie, but there's your witch Christmas movie. And of course, anything with La Befana. I believe there's several movies with La Befana in it, which are other witch Christmas movies. But yeah,
I brought this one up before, but it's Santa versus the Devil, it's a horrible film. It's a bad film. Talk about B movies. It was filmed in Mexico and it's dubbed in English, but they have these sort of voices like this. Ho, 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 I am Santa Claus. And then in the trope, of course, the devil is angry because there's Christmas. And so he sends his minions out to try to stop Santa from giving gifts to good children.
I need it immediately.
It's so bad. It's good. I love that film.
I love bad but good movies. Like so bad they're good. Like totally off topic, not Christmas related, not anything related, but has anyone seen Velocipaster?
Oh my God.
It's like my favorite movie. So bad. But I was screaming, laughing, watching it. I think I love that kind of stuff. And I think Christmas is a great time to make those movies happen. I mean, you can't. And I just want to touch on something that Heather was talking about earlier with traditions. And I think that one of the best things I think that helped me find my Christmas spirit and feels witchy at the same time is creating new traditions. And, you know, this year, my heart is both growing and shrinking 3 sizes. My son decided that while he wholeheartedly believes in Santa, he is too old for Santa to visit our house. So in panic, trying to accommodate that, we came up with new traditions, but he this year got to be a part of creating our new tradition. So it was, you know, what day are we going to do this? And can I still bring you presents? And we did the list a different way. And we did all these things a different way. And I think I was dreading this happening. I was dreading this year coming and having this conversation, but in the way that we did it and the creation of new traditions, it kept that magic alive. Oh. And yeah, sorry, Richard Lale, but
but I have to tell you, I was such a weird curmudgeon. I was so weird that I remember I was about 3 or 4 and I did dress up for Sinterklaas. And then I told everyone my mother made me a fake beard and I was walking along and I said, ho, ho, ho. I would be Santa Claus, but he's not real. Ho, ho, ho. 3.
Oh, you were that boy. Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. You must have been an adorable child, though, Richard
That's
Lale. Really.
magical.
Was an adorable child. I was a good kid outside of my penchant for the dark and my hatred of Christmas.
And Harry Potter.
So I think that is beautiful, Courtney, that you are creating new traditions for your son. And how old is he again? 22.
Yeah. So he's 12 going on 107, but
Yeah.
I've been introducing him, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now, introducing him to what I started to call mama magic. So like we would go out on a full moon and put the crystals outside, and or whatever. So it feels very like mama magic-y, like that we can incorporate some of that also into Christmas to sort of steer it towards Yuletide. Like my family is very religious. My mother said to me today that I experienced a Christmas miracle. Does that mean I'm gonna come to church with her on Christmas Eve? And I said really rude things about it, and I said, yeah, maybe to burn it down, but because I had to light on fire when I stepped inside. And I did one year, another lovely tradition for Christmas was I made my mother a like full-size blanket of my face, making a really ugly face. So then the next year I carried on the blanket tradition and got her a blanket that said "Let's summon demons," and she didn't love that. So, but it's, I incorporated like my craft into this, and I feel like this year of my grown-up 12-year-old boy who doesn't want Santa to come is like the perfect opportunity to start leaning more towards Yule in ways that is meaningful to us. And I'm really I didn't think I would be. I thought I would be heartbroken, but I'm actually really excited about it.
It is,
and
very
I think
exciting.
having the craft to fall back on with that and everything else, that sort of eased that transition for me, which makes me be able to ease that transition for him.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It really is beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
And I think the one thing we did is that we did a similar thing and told them that as Santa does exist, and Santa is the magic, and Santa is the loving and the giving, and so we just explained it, or I explained it in that same context. And one of the things we do that's connected to witchcraft and connected to those traditions is we honor ancestors at Yuletide. So with every ornament, we've put ornaments on that are historical from our family. So we have representations of my grandparents who are no longer alive on the tree. And when I put those on, it's with purpose and intent. And we do the same. And a lot of the ornaments, they have years on them from the 70s, from the 60s. And we put some on from my partner's parents who have passed, representations of them with, and we have candles and pictures. So there is a sense of connection to times past too, which is very witchy, which connects it, then takes it through Samhain. You go through Samhain with that introduction, and now you're bringing all the family home for the celebration. So it feels very nice, very magical, and not just magical, Hallmark magical.
Yeah,
witchy magical.
That's
Ornaments.
what I want to do. I'm thinking about, now that my parents are gone and so many, that whole generation is gone, and I realize how much I don't know of stories. I want to bring back storytelling.
Yes,
because before there was television, before there was internet, before there was everything. And Richard Lale, you're like one of the best storytellers I know, and I'm like, that's what we need to do for the holidays, whatever you call it. I want to. When I start doing this gathering again, I think I'm going to start little and go back up. I'm just not ready to do my big blowout thing, but I want to start a little with a storytelling. Bring the story.
You should. I say that I don't like Christmas, and I think the truth is, I don't like. I'm a little autistic, maybe a lot autistic. I don't know, but I get it's the one time of year where everything is so bright and it's so noisy and it's so loud. It was the one time of year that my parents, who had this great relationship, that was the one time of year that they would fight. So it was always very hard, because then all of my siblings would come, and all I wanted to do was just be left alone and be in the quiet and in the dark, because it didn't hurt my eyes and it didn't hurt my head. And everyone would come and everyone would yell, and it was so loud. It was just not, it didn't make me happy. So I think I still carry that along. But truthfully, when the spirit of giving, I love that. The spirit of creation, I love that. Ghost stories, I love that aspect. Remembering the ancestors, I think is beautiful. I think also the calling of the light, like all of these other pagan gods that had been born on the 25th on or around the winter solstice. It was that hope of the new light. I think that part is really beautiful.
Yeah,
It's working.
It's working. We're bringing up the light. So
I feel like we're thawing Richard Lale's heart as well.
That's what I'm saying. And we're working on him. Her heart's going bigger.
I still think Christmas is a humbug.
That's okay.
Oh, well.
You can like I want to thank everybody who's where some of them were putting up. Everybody's commenting. We love that you guys are. I know. I was just going to read. Hi, Zachariah the Witch. He just said something about I forgot what it was. A Christmas witch. But thank you guys. We love that you guys are putting in your opinions and your thoughts and what you like and what you don't like. Other than Hot Girls for You, everybody else. And not that there's anything wrong with Hot Girls for You XXX69, but everybody who is talking about all this stuff, we're reading it, even if we're not commenting, and we thank you. Sensory overload, yeah, it can't be said. But I've got to go before we go on and we say what we're doing and who we are and all that stuff. I have to go back. I'm just loving you, Heather, that your family gets presents from Santa and Krampus and Satan. Now, does Santa have a style versus what does like Krampus have a style versus Satan have a style?
Krampus and Satan's tend to be the more the gifts that they don't want, that they're just getting. They can be socks, underwear, things. Those are whatever it is. The things they don't ask for is what
That's
usually
cool.
what Krampus and Satan bring. But they're never bad. It's never cold. They've never gotten cold, although they've been close sometimes. So it's just a fun thing that we've done over the last few years as they've gotten older, and know who they are. Although if they watch the Krampus movie, they might change their mind about that because they.
I do want to add though that I think that over the last, especially 120 years, we've lost a lot of Yuletide traditions that I think might appeal more to witches, because we've really kind of transformed this season from what was once a season of debauchery and inverting the social order into something that's much more settled. But when Patty mentioned stories, up until the early 20th century, people sat down on Christmas Eve and told ghost stories. It was wonderful. A time for ghost stories. A Christmas Carol is a ghost story, and Dickens wrote several others that are very much like that are ghost stories in their own ways. So, maybe these are some of the traditions what we can bring back with our power as the Witches Movie Coven, just kind of change things and, bring some of those more witchy, maybe less lights, less sensory overload traditions back into the holiday season.
I like it.
I like that idea.
We love that. So I know we kind of fell off movie topic today, but that's okay because we're witches and we get to break the rules and do whatever we want sometimes. So ghost stories are excellent. Yes, ghost stories. I want to tell family stories. I want to tell ghost stories. I want to tell, grab Black Phillip, cuddle up with the dog and the cat and the Black Phillip, and Jason, next week bring Black Phillip.
He's right. He's just like through the wall. I mean, he's right there. I can feel his evil love for me coming through. But I do have Sparkles the Christmas llama on my sweater. So they're related.
Sparkles, they're related.
Yeah, they're related. And she's got her little scarf there. I mean, that's adorable.
That's good enough. All right.
Yeah. I brought in honor of Krampus, I brought another horn for Black.
Oh,
it's a moose
wow.
That is beautiful. Anyway, we want you guys listening to tell us some other movies you want to talk to. We're going into the new year. It's still the holidays right now. We still got Yule coming. I do want to wish everyone. Are we going to be here? We're going to be here are we going to be here on Yule on the 21st on solstice on the.
Wow. It'll be the 21st, won't it?
I'm planning to be here.
Ooh, I'm planning to be here.
Let's talk about Rudolph.
Yes.
Let's make Richard Lale watch Rudolph.
We can definitely talk about Rudolph.
Okay. All right. So so join us. In the meantime, this is the preparation and doing everything. And happy Hanukkah to those. Hanukkah's just a few days away. And it is all about celebrating the light, right? Whatever words you put on top of it, it's the season of celebration, whatever that means to you. So before we go, though, everybody, say where people can find you, what you're doing, anything coming up, books, this, that, and the other thing. Let us start with Courtney because she's the Grinch.
I am. I'm ready for Grinch Day at my school coming up. So you can find me on all the social media platforms at The Feems, TheFeems. I am on Instagram where I post about Black Phillip sometimes. I'm on TikTok sometimes. But I have a backlog of videos on there. And I'm also on Twitch where I play horror games. So if you want to play along, I have sound alerts set up and you can try to scare me while I play. It's a lot of fun. Also, I wanted to tell you guys, and you can see me as Ghostbait on, how did I forget that, on scaredandalone.com. But I wanted to tell you, I'm so excited. I bought myself some Christmas presents, some Yule gifts, if you will, at mysterycontrol.com. I placed an order for some Witches Movie Coven gear, and I have to say it is chef's kiss. I haven't gotten it yet, but the logo with Black Phillip on it is incredible. So I ordered a hooded sweatshirt. I ordered a hooded blanket so that I can wear it while I watch my scary movies. And a Witches Movie Coven t-shirt as well. So if you guys, anybody out there wants to buy themselves a Christmas gift, it's right down there. But yeah, I'm very excited. So that's it. I'll be in Salem. You can find me in Salem sometimes. So yeah, that's my story. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We do have some fabulous merch. You guys have to check it out. My favorite, and I haven't even ordered it, it's all new, is the blankie. I am always cold, and the big shruggy blankie with Witches Movie Coven is great.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move up to our very elegant, always, Richard Lale. What are you doing? Where can we find you? What's going on?
Well,
You tell us the story.
You can find me under Richard Lale Lillard, which is Lael. I have another faker out there who changed my name to Richard Leal. That is not me. I won't contact you for readings. You can find me at thegentlemanpsychic.com. You can find me at Richard Lale Lillard. Anywhere. I'm everywhere. I'm like Santa Claus, only better because I hate Christmas. Ha!
Thank you very much. And you do a lovely storytelling thing regular on YouTube, right?
I do actually. Every Friday night we read classic stories, and I was traveling quite a bit this month. I had a lot going on last few months actually, but I'm back, and we're going to start doing. I can't remember the name of the story, but we're going to be reading Oscar Wilde starting on Friday.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you. You guys check it out. Everybody like us, follow us, because you just have to do that social media thing. So find us. We're all on all the social medias. Okay, Heather.
Well, you know what? Before I tell you where you can find me, I want to point out that we have a note that we didn't do the wands up for Krampus. So I'm very concerned about that.
No. Okay, well, we haven't hung up yet. I've got to find my wand. Yeah. Do we want to do that
while
first?
she's finding the wand, I'll say you can find me at heathergreen.net. That's where all my socials there. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and some other new ones that I'm trying out as well, which are not up yet until I figure out how to use them because they're hard. And I did write the book. So if you are going to wrap up in a blind movie Witches Coven, why not watch some witch movies? And so here's my book. It has nice lists of all the witch movies. Some even the Magic Christmas Tree is listed and mentioned in here, which is the witch Christmas movie. And I also am working with my partner on some great witchy gifts, and I hope to get a witchy coven blanket to pair up with all my witchy stuff. So please come and find me. Tell me what movies I've missed in the book. Please come and find me and let's chat movies, all kinds of movies.
Okay, so should we finish this and then we will vote? Well, we're gonna hold the moment for that, so we're not gonna vote yet. Jason.
I'm Jason Mankey. I'm everywhere: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter until it closes soon. Last Friday, my latest book came out, Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods. I was on Patty's show earlier this week talking about it. I co-wrote this with Estrella Taylor, who's a great writer. So it's a very exciting, festive time. We were the #1 new release in paganism at Amazon, and they actually sold out of physical copies of the book there. So that was like a big deal. I think they only ordered 20, but they still sold out, and I'll take it, and I'll run. And I'm also the author of The Little Book of Yule because I truly love this season. And next year, you can read Richard Lale's Llewellyn's Little Book of Anti-Yule. And
Wait, I'm in. Let me know. Let's chat after.
Yeah, I love it. The book. Yeah, Bah Humbug. By Richard Lale. Okay, thank you for that. My name is Patty Negri. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. My other podcast is called The Witching Hour, which they all are. And this week's is Jason talking about this new book. So it's everywhere right now that you get podcast, Apple, Spotify, this, that, and the other thing. And in audio and on video and my YouTube, and will be on Paraflex. I also teach at my school, University Magicus, as does Richard Lale. So if you want to learn all this witchy stuff and more, we're not just all witches. We have New Agers, we have werewolves, we have vampires, we have Satanists, Richard Lale. We have Catholic priests. We have it all. But do like us, do follow us. I am around. I'm home for the holidays, not traveling. I'm usually talking about traveling, but my next thing up, if anybody likes the paranormal, come to the Caribbean with us. Dark Waters Cruise is coming up. I've never done a Caribbean cruise before, but you can come with us with all sorts of ghosty people. Great way to start the new year. PattyNegri.com, Patty Negri Psychic Medium on Facebook, Patty.Negri on Instagram. I, too, get lots of fake people like Richard Lale. I will never contact you. I now finally am verified on everything but crazy Twitter. So if it's not verified, it's not me. And other than that, you guys, this is us. And tell your friends about this. Tell your friends about the Witches Movie Coven to watch all of our other shows. And now, yes, we are going. Let's talk about Krampus. Wands up or wands down?
Unanimous. I love it.
Scissors.
Wait a minute.
It's Krampus. I thought it was scary. Well, we have a unanimous wand, scissors, dowsing rods, and bones up. We are an odd lot, aren't we?
I love us.
So thank you guys, Witches Movie Coven, everything. I want to thank our producers, Rob Cohen and Christine Roth. They keep us here. They get us here. They put some on the things that we forget to do along the way. I want to thank more than anything all of you guys for tuning in and for, we got wands up. We got a couple wands up. You guys didn't vote a whole lot, but we thank you that you did. KC Barrows. So tune back next week. It will be the solstice. It will be the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year, a good time to celebrate. So celebrate it with us. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we'll figure it out before then. Other than that, we have one more thing to do, right, guys?
I'm ready.
You guys have to do it with us. And you're going, what is it? What is it going to do? What do witches do? We cackle. So turn up the volume. And we might even end 1 minute. I usually am so good at ending right at 7 o'clock. Is there anything we could talk about for 1 minute? Or just no. Other than the breakup, I mean, we're going to make page 6. We're going to make TMZ the breakup of Richard Lale and Jason.
That's true. But we'll make up after the new year when we start seeing things eye to eye again.
Okay.
Well, Richard Lale
holiday heartbreak.
Richard Lale had to break up with Jason so that he could enter the throuple of Santa and Krampus.
That is true. That's true.
So
and
that's the hot take.
And then New Year's Eve is my birthday. Yes, because more people celebrate my birth and the birth of Christ that's why I actually really prefer New Year's Eve to Christmas. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I love that. So you guys, Richard Lyle's birthday. Oh, New Year's Eve. That is brilliant. Okay. That was a perfect way to use the last minute of the thing. And on that note, everybody on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh.
Everybody, it is the most freeing thing you could ever do. Cackle in the mall, cackle in the grocery store, cackle in the car at a red light. Keeps people thinking. Anyway, thank you for watching, listening to, being a part of the Witches Movie Coven. We say goodbye. Black Phillip says goodbye. Thank you. Bye. I'm a
Bye.
Christmas tree.